Well, a very happy Wednesday evening. It's the last time I'm going to be able to say that for a while. Hi, this is a ham radio class, and I'm your instructor, Gary, ham radio call sign Whiskey 4 Echo Echo Yankee. And this is the very last class in this series. We've been using a book from the American Radio Relay League, the ARRL License Manual for Technician Class, 5th edition, this red-covered book you see here. And we went through all 9 chapters of the book and covered all of the test questions and possible answers that you might have when you take your technician licensing test. And to get a ham radio license in the United States, you must pass a 35-question multiple-choice test. You don't have to get them all right. In fact, you can get up to 9 wrong and still get your ham radio license. Morse code is no longer required. And so what we're going to do tonight is take a practice test together. We did this last week at the end. We're going to do that tonight twice. We're going to take 2 practice tests. So we'll start with practice test 11. That sounds kind of funny, right? But actually, we've been doing this class with the 5th edition book for a while now, and we try to create new practice tests every time. And so tonight we'll have practice tests 11 and 12. All of the other earlier practice tests are already in the handout folder at Dropbox. That you can find that in the description box on YouTube, where that link is, and you can review all of the past tests as well. So. When you go to take your test, I hope it's going to be given by your local ham club, because I want you to follow up and find a good local amateur radio club in your area. The ARRL has this URL link that maybe could help you out. But the people who are giving you your test locally can tell you where the ham clubs are in your area. And members there are the folks that can then help you get on the air, which will be your next goal. The practice tests that we're going to give tonight all came from this website, the American Radio Relay League's exam review website. And you can take practice tests there yourself for free. And it's a great learning tool getting ready to get your ham radio license. Tonight, I'd like you to get out a sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil and number it from 1 to 35. And then we will go ahead and get started and bring some questions up on the screen. I won't read them out unless somebody has a question about them. If you're in the Zoom classroom, I can see some of your cameras. Just raise your hand when you're done reading the question and you put your answer down so I can move on. That helps me out a lot. In a classroom, I can see people when they're writing on the paper, but on Zoom, it's kind of hard. So let me wish you the best of luck. And let's take practice test 11 together. So here is question number 1. All right, and here is question number 2. If I go too fast, just unmute and tell me. Of course, when you take your test for real, you'll have as much time as you need. And here is question 3. And now question 4. And question 5. Okay, and here is question 6. And now, question 7. And question 8. And question 9. And question 10. And here's question 11. If you leave any of these blank, we can always go back to it at the end, no problem. And now, question 12. And the next question is a pictorial. What is component 1? And question 14. And now question 15. Next is question 16. And question 17. Question 18. And now question 19. Here is question 20. And question 21. And 22. Here is 23. And 24. And 25. $26. And now 27. Next up is 28. Here is 29. All right, moving on to 30. And 31. And now 32. And here we have 33. And 34. And the last question, 35. So if you missed a question or left it blank and would like me to go back, if you're in the Zoom classroom, just unmute and let me know. If you're watching on YouTube, put it in the chat. That failed last week. Somebody gave me a chat message that I didn't get until the next day. So I apologize if we didn't get back to the questions you needed. Anyone in the Zoom classroom?
17.
17, absolutely. There you are. Anything else? So what you saw was a typical test for the technician class based on a question pool of 411 questions. 35 of them were picked out for us to answer. And the questions and the answers are exactly what you would see on a test that you might take at your local ham radio club. The answers are going to be in a different order, however. So don't memorize A, B, C, or D. That's not going to help you. All right, so how did we do? Well, let's find out. Here's answer number 1. How is a VHF-UHF transceiver's reverse function used? A, to listen to a repeater's input frequency, so 1A. 2, when the control operator is not the station licensee, who is responsible for the proper operation of the station? Well, the control operator and the station licensee, 50-50, 2A. 3, which term describes the ability of a receiver to detect the presence of a signal? That's sensitivity, 3D. And 4, which of the following describes alternating current? Current that alternates between positive and negative directions. 4A. 5, which of the following is a resonant or tuned circuit? An inductor and a capacitor in either series or parallel. 5B. And 6, where should the negative power return of a mobile transceiver be connected in a vehicle? B, at the 12-volt battery chassis ground. 6B. 7, which instrument would you use to measure electric potential? That is a voltmeter measuring electric potential or electromotive force. 7C, voltmeter. And 8, which of the following is a way to determine whether your satellite uplink power is neither too low nor too high? A, your signal strength on the downlink should be about the same as the beacon. 8A. And 9, which of the following is a safety hazard of a 12-volt storage battery? B, shorting the terminals can cause burns, fire, or an explosion. 9B. And 10, how does the FCC determine broadcasting for the amateur radio service? Define broadcasting? So that's transmissions intended for reception by the general public. 10D. So what should be the first step to resolve non-fiber optic cable TV interference caused by your amateur radio transmission? Always the F connector. C, be sure all TV feed line coaxial connectors are installed properly. 11C. 12, what formula is used to calculate voltage in a circuit? It's Ohm's law. E equals I times R. 12A. And in the pictorial, component number 1 is a resistor. 13A. And 14, what is required when climbing an antenna tower? All of those. Have sufficient training on safe tower climbing practices, always wear an approved climbing harness, and use appropriate tie-off to the tower at all times. So 14B, all of those choices. And 15, which decibel value most closely represents a power increase from 5 watts to 10 watts? That's 3 dB, or times 2, 15D. And 16, which of the following is standard practice when you participate in a net? Well, unless you are reporting an emergency, transmit only when directed by the net control station. 16C. And 17, what are the names for the electrodes of a diode, the anode, and the cathode? 17D. And what is FT8? It's a digital mode capable of low signal-to-noise operation. 18C. And 19, what is the approximate bandwidth of a typical single sideband voice signal? About 3 kilohertz. 19A. And 20, what proves that the FCC has issued an operator primary license grant? The license appears in the FCC Universal Licensing System database. When it's in the database, you're golden. 20C. And 21, which of the following battery chemistries is not rechargeable? That's carbon zinc, the old flashlight batteries. 21B. And 22, at which of the following frequencies does maximum permissible exposure have the lowest value? That's VHF, so 50 megahertz. 22C. And 23, what is the likely cause of irregular fading of signals propagated by the ionosphere? Random combining of signals arriving via different paths. 23B, also known as multipath. And 24, what is meant by repeater offset? It's the difference between a repeater's transmit and receive frequencies, 24B. And what is Voice over Internet Protocol? It's a method of delivering voice communications over the internet using digital techniques, 25A. And 26, which of the following types of antenna offers the greatest gain? Of these, the Yagi, 26C. And 27, which amateurs may contact the International Space Station on VHF bands? Any amateur holding a technician class or higher license, 27D. And 28, what are the two components of a radio wave? Electric and magnetic fields, 28B. And 29, who may select a desired call sign under the vanity call sign rules? Any licensed amateur, 29A. And 30, which of the following is a source of loss in coaxial feed line? All of these are possible. High SWR, with a lot of reflections going back, will cause higher loss. Water intrusion, that's a problem. And multiple connectors, they can cause loss. So all of these choices are correct, 30A. And 31, what happens to power lost in a feed line? It is converted into heat, 31A. And 32, which of the following bands may provide long-distance communications via the ionosphere's F region during the peak of the sunspot cycle, which is happening right now? 6 and 10 meters, 32C. They're both very hot bands right now. And 33, what does a DMR code plug contain? Access information for repeaters and talk groups, 33D. And 34, what describes the ability to store energy in a magnetic field? That's inductance, 34B. And 35, what method of call sign identification is required for a station transmitting phone signals? Well, you can send your call sign or the call sign using Morse code, that's always allowed, or by phone or phone emission, 35C. So the question is, did you have 26 correct? If you did, you passed the test. You don't have to tell me, but you're doing good. You're gaining ground here every time. Let's take 5 minutes, let your brain cool down a little bit, and we'll come back and we'll take our final practice test together, just like we did here, and see how we do. And if you're playing along at home on YouTube, hope you did great. Come on back in 5 minutes. hope you're feeling refreshed and invigorated. I did want to report that 5 of our students from this class tested in person at a test session last Saturday in Greenville, South Carolina. 5 students took their technician test. All 5 passed. 1 got 100%. Yay! So you can do it too. Hope you get your test session scheduled, because you want to hit while the iron is hot or something like that. Strike while the iron is hot. Anyway, all right. Practice test number 12. That's next. Again, get your sheet of paper and your pen, numbered 1 to 35, exactly in the same format as we just did. And so let's again say good luck. And here is question number 1. And now, question number 2. Here is question number 3. And here is question number 4. Next up, question 5. And here is question 6. Next up, question 7. And here we go with question number 8. And now, question 9. And next up, question 10. now, question 11. And question 12. And here is question 13. And now, question 14. And question 15. And question 16. And question 17. And next, question 18. And now, question 20. And here's question 20. And question 21. Question 22. And question 23. And here is 24. And question 25. And question 26. And question 27. Question 28. Question 29. And question 30. Question 31. Question 32. And now question 33. And next up is another schematic. 34. What is component number 3? And last question, 35. So are there any questions you'd like me to go back to? If you're on Zoom, you can unmute. Yeah? Eleni, you unmuted there, then you went away. I didn't hear you.
Can you go back to 15?
15, yes, thank you. There you are, 15.
Number 13.
Number 13. That's right, close. There you go. Any others? So if you notice, there were a bunch of repeating questions from the previous tests that we took. And the more practice tests you take, the more you'll see repeats, and they become almost second nature to you. So how did you do? Well, let's find out. Let's look at some answers. So here's answer number 1. Which of the following RF connector types is most suitable for frequencies above 400 megahertz? That's the type N connector for Mr. Neal, 1C. 2, what type of radiation are radio signals? They're non-ionizing radiation, 2B. 3, under what conditions is an amateur station authorized to transmit music when using a phone transmission? When incidental to an authorized retransmission of manned spacecraft communications, 3A. I thought about this, maybe SpaceX would let us retransmit some of their stuff. 4, which is equal to 28,400 kilohertz. There we go. It's 28.4 megahertz, 4B. And 5, on which HF bands does a technician class operator have phone privileges? The 10-meter band only, 5C. And 6, which of the following is a disadvantage of FM compared with single sideband? Well, D, because of receiver technology, only one signal can be received at a time. The discriminator only locks on the stronger signal, so 6D. And 7, what is the meaning of the procedural signal CQ? That means you're calling any station, 7D. And 8, which region of the atmosphere can refract or bend HF and VHF radio waves? That's D, the ionosphere, 8D. And 9, what health hazard is presented by electrical current flowing through the body? All of these choices are correct. It may disrupt the electrical function of cells. It may cause injury by heating tissue. It may cause involuntary muscle contractions. 9A. And 10, Ohm's law again, what formula is used to calculate resistance in a circuit? R equals E divided by I, 10B. And 11, what electrical component opposes the flow of current in a DC circuit? By definition, we say it's a resistor, 11D. And 12, how is a voltmeter connected to a component to measure applied voltage? It is connected in parallel, 12B. And 13, which of the following describes DMR? It's a technique for time multiplexing two digital voice signals on a single 12.5 kilohertz repeater channel, 13C. And 14, what is the name of a device that combines several semiconductors and other components into one package? That's an integrated circuit, 14D. 15, what property of radio wave defines its polarization? That's the orientation of the electric field, 15C. And 16, what is the minimum safe distance from a power line to allow when installing an antenna, the 10-foot rule, enough so that if the antenna falls, no part of it can come closer than 10 feet to the power lines, 16D. And 17, what happens to power lost in a feed line? It is converted into heat, 17D. 18, how is a specific group of stations selected on a digital voice transceiver? Well, in those, it's by entering the group's ID code, maybe a 4-digit code, 18C. And 19, what might be a problem if you receive a report that your audio signal through an FM repeater is distorted or unintelligible? Well, all of those, you could be in a bad location, or your batteries could be running low, or your transmitter is slightly off frequency, so 19B. 20, which of the following types of antenna offers the greatest gain? 20B, the Yagi. And 21, what is the FCC Part 97 definition of a space station? The boundary is at 50 kilometers, an amateur station located more than 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface, 21B. And 22, what device increases the transmitted output power from a transceiver? That is an RF power amplifier, 22C. And 23, what is an amateur radio station that connects other amateur stations to the internet? That's a gateway station, 23C. And 24, what is the amateur radio emergency service, also known as ARES? It's a group of licensed amateurs who have voluntarily registered their qualifications and equipment for communications duty in the public service, 24C. And 25, where should the negative power return of a mobile transceiver be connected in a vehicle? A, at the 12-volt battery chassis ground, 25A. 26, what are the names for the electrodes of a diode? Another repeat question. Anode and cathode, 26D. 27, what is the unit of impedance? Impedance is measured in ohms, 27C. And 28, what describes the number of times per second that an alternating current makes a complete cycle? That's frequency, 28C. And 29, what type of propagation is responsible for allowing over-the-horizon VHF and UHF communications to ranges of approximately 300 miles on a regular basis? That is tropospheric ducting, 29D, also known as tropo. And 30, which Q signal indicates that you are changing frequency by turning the big knob on the radio? That's QSY, 30B. And 31, which of the following are inputs to a satellite tracking program? Those are the Keplerian elements, named after Johannes Kepler, 31D. And 32, when must the satellite and its records be available for FCC inspection? At any time upon request by an FCC representative. At any time. 32D. And 33, when the control operator is not the station licensee, who is responsible for the proper operation of the station? 50-50, it's the control operator and the station licensee. 33A. And in our schematic, what is component number 3? That is a variable inductor. 34B. And 35, what may happen if the FCC is unable to reach you by email? Revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license. 35C. So again, the question is, did you have 26 correct? I hope you did. I hope your thumbs are coming up. For now, though, school is out. This is our last session. I will put in a little plug. If you'd like to pay it forward with a donation of any kind, please go to my website, w4eey.com, and you can see right in the middle, if I turn on my laser pointer, there's a donate button right there via PayPal. All amounts are appreciated. They're used for the production of future classes and videos to foster ham radio education, both classes and continuing education. So please, I want to know how you do on your test. So please keep me posted by email. And I want to thank you for being a great class. Come back to me just for a second. Let me go ahead and turn off the spotlight here on the Zoom classroom. Are there any questions or comments before we go? And I will provide that link to the ARRL. They asked me about the Find a Club, and I'll get that up here in a second. Any comments or questions? And slideshow for the current slide. Okay, if we come back to the laptop, here is the URL if you'd like to find a ham club in your area that's affiliated with the American Radio Relay League. You can Google ARRL Find a Club, or here it is. Here's the complete URL, and that would get you in contact with your local affiliated amateur radio club. They'd be happy to have you come on board and sit in as a guest at a meeting and just see. There are good clubs and bad clubs, that may be more simpatico with you or less, but try a few of them. Find one that you like, and the members there should be supportive and welcoming and help you join into this great group of people. All right, I think that's it. I so appreciate you being with us for the entire run of the class. Please tell others about the classes. It really helps. And then I will say see you on the bands. 73, y'all.
Much appreciated, Gary. Thank
you. Betcha.
You.
Take care.
Thank you so much, Gary. 78.
Thank you very much, Gary.